everybody. Welcome back to the Yoga Sciences podcast. I'm really excited to have Leanne Giavedoni here today. She is into essential oils and she's very knowledgeable in that area. So I would like her to introduce herself real quick and then we'll get started with her sharing her story and how she got started with essential oils, a little bit of her background. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Pam, for having me. This is exciting. I love all opportunities where I get to talk about my passions for health and wellness. So as you said, I am involved in educating and making it possible for people to start using essential oils in their life. So that's one of the things that I do to help people with their health and wellness.
Okay, that's awesome. So I'd like to start with how you got started with essential oils. What made you start using it?
Okay, yeah, that's a kind of a long story, but I'll make it as short as possible. I was introduced to essential oils in February of 2014. I was running my own physiotherapy clinic. So I was the owner and sole physio, and I had some other people working with me. And so I was approached by someone about the business opportunity for doTERRA. And because I can't sell anything that I don't 100% believe in or even know anything about, and at the time I knew nothing about essential oils, I thought I would give them a try first. And so I had a couple of things that I was dealing with physically and emotionally. And my son had acne that he was dealing with. So I put the oils to the test and they proved to be more than I expected. And I fell in love with them ever since then.
That's awesome. And are you open to elaborate on a little bit of what you're dealing with and what oils helped?
Yeah, for sure. So personally, I had suffered from a number of things, but at the time that I was introduced to doTERRA, I was still struggling with IBS-D, so irritable bowel symptoms, and I had overcome depression, but I was still having mood swings with my menstrual cycle. So I was looking for something for that. And for my son, it was his acne. So the first oil that I actually used with doTERRA was this guy here. This is my favorite oil. It's called Zengest here in Canada. I'm in Canada. But if you're in the States, it's called Digest Zen. And so I started using this to help support my digestive system. Up until that point, I had eliminated so many foods from my diet, working with the naturopath. I had got intolerance tests done, so I knew what foods I should be away from. But I still hadn't really healed my gut. And so Zengest, I took it internally. I would just put 2 drops into my water with every meal that I ate. And I did that for 2 entire bottles. And I started to notice after like even just the first bottle that my symptoms were lessening. And it really did the trick for me. So today I don't have to use it every single day. Now I only use it if, like Christmas is here, so I'm going to be eating more food than usual, or if I travel and I eat things that I'm not accustomed to, and you get a little bit of bloating or gas and things like that. This can help support the functions of the digestive system so that some of those symptoms are alleviated.
That's awesome. Glad that it helped you with your digestion.
Oh, it was a lifesaver, honestly.
That's awesome. And what oils did your son use, or the ones you tried on him?
Yeah, so interesting enough, when it comes to things with the skin, you do have to also look at digestion because a lot of times it's food intolerances, allergies, things like that, which in his case, we had to do the same things that I had done for myself. And then I used the same. I used Zengest for him. Now he hates the flavor of it, but we put it in capsules. So you just get empty pill capsules, you stick it in there, and that way you don't taste it. It tastes like black licorice, which I happen to love, but my son, he hated that. So we would just put it in a capsule. And then on his face, he used frankincense, lavender, and tea tree to help to with the skin appearance and help with those issues that you get with acne.
Great. And you mentioned those three oils, frankincense, lavender, and tea tree. Did you like blend them up, or did he use one at a time before he switched to a different one?
No, he used those all together. We call it the Owie blend. And so those were used all together at one time. So each has a slightly different function, one for cleansing, one for calming, and one for helping to reduce the appearance of scars and things like that. So if you tea
And
tree, lavender, and frankincense in that order.
uh-huh. Okay. And you did your own blending, or it was already pre-blended?
So in the beginning, I was blending it for him. And at the time, he was a 16-year-old boy, right? Um, then it got to be a lot to do that. So doTERRA has a product called Correct X, and it's in a little tube and it's like an ointment. It kind of looks like a polysporin, for example. It's clear like that. And it has tea tree, lavender, frankincense, and something called helichrysum in it. And so he started just applying that to his face and going to bed with it. And he tells me that that and the frankincense is what he believed really helped him with his skin. You wouldn't know today that he had acne. He has no signs that he had acne.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So like, okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit in terms of like ingesting the oils, because I know a lot of people are concerned about it. Because I've read research and some of those like Ayurvedic things that I've read before that said it's not safe to ingest the oils. So why doTERRA essential oils, some of them, of course, not all of them, are safe for internal use, and what is the difference compared to other brands that are not safe for internal use?
Yeah, this is a great question and it comes up all the time. There's a couple things that we need to recognize. The first is that the research that was done on essential oils is, first of all, very outdated. You and I both know that changes in technology and what's available to us today would be very different than even 10 years ago, especially 20 years ago. So some of the tests, some of the studies were very outdated. And then what were they studying? Which type of oils? And the purity of oils has also changed over the last 10 to like 5 to 10 years even. So doTERRA, what I loved about them is that their oils are the most tested oils actually in the world. So they go through rigorous testing, and doTERRA is leading the science investigating and understanding the use of essential oils in general. So that really made me feel comfortable to know that I have a product that's trustworthy. And then we have a third party testing. So every single batch, not just random batches. So a lot of companies will do random batches. doTERRA tests every single batch through these numerous extensive testing multiple times. And then the last one is done by a third party. And at the bottom of your bottle, there's a batch number. And if you go to a site called Source2You, you can actually put your label in, and it will give you the certification that your oil passed the test that they did on that. So these are all things that are very unique to the company doTERRA. Not all essential oil companies are doing that. In fact, I don't think any other essential oil companies do that.
Great. That's important for people that are like, concerned about the oil's quality and whether it's safe to ingest or not.
Yeah.
So what happens if somebody doesn't know that the person is allergic to the oil that they're trying to that end up taking? And what happens if they have too much of that? It's because pure essential oils, our essential oils are very, very concentrated. And so what happens if they put too many drops in their cooking or in their water?
Okay, yeah. So first thing to know, children never take oils internally unless it is in cooked food, right? So if you're making brownies that have peppermint in it, it's perfectly safe for a 6-year-old to eat that, right? We don't recommend that children take the oils internally, although there are people that do it. I personally don't have young children. My children were teens when I got into doTERRA, so I didn't have to really think about that one so much. But that's what I recommend for my customers. So use it topically when they're little, and then as they get bigger, then you can use the oil. So that's the first thing I want to make sure that people understand. Second is we're really using very small amounts of essential oil. So like I mentioned, I was using 2 drops in 8 ounces of water. So it becomes very diluted when you're taking it internally that way. If you're taking it in a capsule, by the time it is all put into your digestive system, the acidity in your own digestive tract is going to, or in your stomach, is going to dilute it as well. So you're not going to get holes. I've read things where people think you're going to get holes in your stomach, and none of that's going to happen. You can have multiple amounts of drops throughout the day. So anywhere from 12 to 24 drops in a 24-hour period, but you would never take 12 drops of an essential oil at one time. So we're really making sure that when we're teaching people about using the oils, we always say 1 to 2 drops at a time. If you need more in an hour or 2 hours, you feel that you need more, then again, you would apply 1 to 2 drops or take 1 to 2 drops internally. You would never do more than that. If you did, I guess you would have to follow the same things that you would do for any poison control, right? You would call doTERRA customer service, let them know what you did, and they would advise you as to how to proceed, but likely you would have to seek medical attention if you like took a whole bottle of essential oils, right? So we're hopefully no one's doing things like that.
Right, right.
2 drops, you're safe.
Oh, okay. And because when I first started putting the oils in my drinks, in my water, it only like 1 drop, even for an 8 ounce, because I still think that it's strong because I wasn't used to it, and it because of course the oil is not blending in with the water, it kind of just flows on top. So every time I drink, I can always taste it. It's because it's on the surface.
Oh yeah, when I'm finished my glass, when I finish the entire glass and I add more in, I'm still going to get the flavor of that oil. So you're absolutely right. They are very potent, which is what makes them so effective and it makes them so affordable, right? But we have to use common sense. And I always tell people, if you hate the way it tastes or if you don't like the feeling, then put it in a capsule, right? So that's what my son did because he would not put it in water. He just put it in a capsule and would swallow the capsule, and he never would have the flavor of it at all.
Great. And I think I've also heard the way what you can do is do a drop under the tongue, or I think you've mentioned it to me once, where you can put the oil like on your thumb and then put it on the top of your like the roof of your mouth.
Yeah, so when you put it under your tongue, it's going to be the fastest delivery of it, right? If you put it on your thumb and get it to the roof of your mouth, again, you're going to get it the fastest delivery into your blood system. So that's one of the reasons we would do it that way. When you put it in water, it's going to be a slightly slower delivery. And of course, when you put it in a capsule, it's going to be a little bit slower because the capsule has to be dissolved, right? So I recommend putting it under the tongue or on the roof of the mouth. Usually I do that with frankincense. If someone has a headache, that's a really fast way to help to support the body in dealing with the headache.
That's awesome. So as we're talking about ingesting the oils, and I know that doTERRA has supplements, and how do the supplements work, and why do you take them, and what changes have made for you since you've been taking those vitamins?
Yeah, so these are the vitamins back here. There's 3 bottles. So interesting, when I was approached by the lady from doTERRA when I had my physio clinic, I was looking for supplements at the time. I was not looking for essential oils. I have used supplements for many years. I've been, worked with naturopaths for many years. And I believe that supplementation is really important because our body needs fuel and it needs cellular repair, and we're not getting it from our food. Even if you're the cleanest eater in the world, it's really hard to get all of the nutrients that are bioavailable in the right quantity for your body to use, right? So long before doTERRA, I have been using supplements for many, many years. I'm spending a lot of money on my supplements, right? I could spend $100 per bottle sometimes. So when the lady approached me, she sent me a picture and it had the supplements. And that's what I thought I was, learning about. And when she came in, she brought these little brown bottles with her. And I, you know, respectfully listened to what she was telling me. And I had never used essential oils prior to that, other than in those like potpourri,
Mm.
clay things that you burn, which we never burn our essential oils. You never use fire with them. So, anyways, at the end, I said, "What about the supplements?" And she just looked at me and she was like, "The supplements? Wow." She goes, "Most people know about doTERRA and are interested in the oils." And I said, "Well, I'm obviously going to give your oils a try, but it's the supplements that really brought me to have this meeting with you."
Mm.
So I started with the oils because I had to test them. And then I started with the supplements. And so I love these supplements. So if oils brought me to doTERRA, supplements is what keeps me with doTERRA.
Mm.
It's the foundation. It gives my body the nutrients and some of the additional foundational support that it needs to function, right? So we have a vitamin and mineral that comes from whole foods. We have in omega, which has the 369. It comes in a vegan or in regular. It's sardines if you're not vegan. And that has 7 essential oils in it as well. So not only are you getting the omega, which I hope people realize the importance of omega, but you get 7 essential oils in that as well with doTERRA. And then we have one called CRS, which is cellular repair. So our cells are being damaged just by breathing, right? The aging process is all about oxidation and inflammation in our body. And so CRS is one that really helps with that cellular repair. And so when I started taking these, I didn't have a lot of, to be honest, I didn't have a lot of aha because I was already on supplements. But something happened that showed me that they really were working. And it wasn't until I stopped them. I went on a holiday and I didn't bring them with me. So I got out of the habit of taking them. And then when I got back, I was out of the habit. So a couple of weeks went by and I started to get this twitch in my eye that I used to always get.
Mm.
And I'm like, wow, that twitch has been gone for so long. What was I doing differently? And I went, my supplements. And I kid you not, 2 days back on my supplements, the twitch went away again.
Mm.
Then generally what you will notice, people tell us what they notice is increased energy, um, complexion, your skin and complexion, just looking more youthful, hair growth and nail growth. Oh my goodness, like I have the best nails and hair. I'm told all the time by my hairdresser and my nail people, like they can't imagine like how healthy my hair and nails are. And I attribute it to these supplements as well. And it also helps with my mood regulation, right? I did notice that the more I was taking the supplements, the more my mood regulation got better as well. So my husband, he's not so much into the oils. He likes the citrus ones, but he's not going around like putting them on or diffusing them. But he takes those supplements every single day and has done so for the past 3.5 years.
Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. I wish I could get my husband to try. I have them right in front of me, a brand new box. I'm like, would you please take them, please? Because he has pain, back pain lately, and I was just like really trying to get him. It's like, no, I refuse to take the oils. I hate the taste. I'm like, you don't really taste them when they're in capsule. But then he's like, oh, what if I burp it out, and then it's the smell. Like he just won't do it.
The supplements won't do that. They're powder. Other than the omega, which omega always does that no matter what brand you take, right? There's a little bit of that when you first start, but the 2 other ones are powder. So there's no oil, like you're not going to have any of that repeating. It's just like taking any other supplement. But here's the thing about husband's pan. My husband didn't take them because I told him to. He ended up attending an event with me and heard someone else speaking about the supplements. He's like, how come we're not on those? And I said, speak for yourself. I've been on those for a year and a half. You're welcome to start using them. And when we got back from that event, it was in New Brunswick. He absolutely started using them. And I have to tell you, he has had changes in his blood work. And I've had a lot of people after being on these for about 6 months their blood work has come back with changes in it. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say that from FDA, but I'm just sharing it from a personal experience
Mhm.
that I have had the evidence in my own life and with customers that I've worked with where blood work has come back differently. And we can't say for sure, but we do know that that's one thing that they were doing differently prior.
That's
So I
awesome.
love the supplements. And oh, I didn't mention about the price. So remember when I said I was seeing the naturopath and I was spending like, this is Canadian dollars, our it would be a little bit less in United States. I was spending, some of my bottles were costing me $100 just for one bottle. And for 3 of those bottles, when you're a member of doTERRA, you can get those 3 bottles, which is anywhere from a month to 2 months supply, depending on your size as a person. In the United States, I think they're $84, and in Canada, they're $95 for all 3 of them. That's like
Mhm.
the best price if you're getting good quality, bioavailable, that your body's going to be able to digest and utilize for those good, right? You're not just peeing it out.
Yeah, that's great. I wasn't consistent with it. I need to get back on it again. But when I was taking it, I did feel better. I was having better mood, and definitely just I was noticing the difference. But like I have, I'm still working on like being consistent with things,
Yeah, it's
and
effort, right? You have to develop the habit.
yeah.
A trick for that pan, what I do is I keep them in places where I'm going to see them. So my supplements are in my kitchen. And so whenever I'm, because you have to eat, you have to take them with meals. And so whenever I'm going to sit down, and it's a routine now, my husband and I, like one of us will grab them and give them out to each other. We make their little piles and then we eat them. And so it helps when you have a accountability partner with you, right? But
Mhm.
even at the beginning, I took them for a year and a half by myself. My husband wasn't taking them. And I just put them in places where I could see them. So I have
Mhm.
my bedside. I have things in my makeup cabinet. I've got things in my living room, and then I have things in my kitchen that are specific to the needs that they serve. So,
Mhm. 'Cause,
that-
I know when it comes to, I know these you need to take with food, but there are certain supplements that you don't need to take with food. People usually do it right in the morning after they brush their teeth, and they will just like take them right before they eat. That's for supplements that don't require that.
yeah. So for my morning routine would be I always have warm water. My husband
Mm.
thinks I'm crazy. I just drink warm water. I
Me
don't,
too.
and I just put warm water, and I might start with either a drop of lemon. Just same as if you use cut up lemons for the benefits that you would get for the cut up lemons. I would either do that or I love ginger. So I'll put 1 drop of ginger, and that's my morning routine for my um, supplementing my body that way. And then I take my supplements, I take them with my lunch and dinner. I don't take them with breakfast.
Mhm. Okay. That's good to know. I'm gonna have to try it that way because sometimes I do ginger and cinnamon essential oils. Sometimes I do
I
those
love
too.
cinnamon. I put cinnamon in if I'm having breakfast in the morning that is like a cereal. I
Mhm.
put almond milk, and I always put a drop of cinnamon. I use cinnamon in place of sugar. Instead of using sugar, I
Mm.
use cinnamon. I love the taste of cinnamon.
That's a good idea. Didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Whenever, especially if you have any concerns with your sugars, which I have to be careful. I had gestational diabetes when I was pregnant.
Mm.
I always have to be careful. I love sugar. Like I have a sweet tooth, but I often will push
Mhm.
that away and use my
Mhm.
cinnamon, and it's very satisfying. I find that it's very satisfying, and it gives me that, um, yeah, that pleasure that I would think I would get from sugar. I get it from cinnamon instead.
Mhm. Speaking of that, I mean, it's probably not going to be anything because I had gestational diabetes when I was pregnant with my winter. So the oils shouldn't, like, I know grapefruit and there's some oils that are like from fruits. It shouldn't affect it shouldn't make a difference in blood sugar, right? Just the oils.
No, if anything, they're going to help to support the function of the body, right? Um, when it comes to our citrus, it comes from the rind of the fruit, not from the juice.
Mm.
So you're not getting the same acidity, and you're not getting some of the negative things that come with the juice part of the fruit. But with anything, you always have to check with your family physician if you're on medicine, or probably more accurately, your pharmacist. And they will tell you which ones you shouldn't be using. And there will be some, and a lot of times they're not knowledgeable, but there will be some that they will advise you not to use if you're on certain medications.
Mhm.
So then you would have to work with your doctor or pharmacist on that one.
Okay. All right. Okay, we talked a lot about ingesting different ways and the supplements. So I want to talk about diffusing because I've read and I've heard people say when it comes to diffusing the oils, how long you're supposed to be diffusing them for. Because I've heard people say do it for 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off, and some people leave that on all day and for hours. So I don't know which one is the best way to do it.
Okay. So when we are talking about essential oils supporting the function of the body, um, we are referring to it when it's done internally first and foremost. However, diffusing does have the benefit of working with your olfactory nervous system, right? So the olfactory nerve attached to the amygdala, which is part of our memory and helps to, um, again, with different functions in the body. So we're usually diffusing for two reasons. One, for mood, for uplifting or calming the mood, or for the scent in the room. So adding, getting rid of a bad smell without adding chemicals to the air. So that's usually why we're diffusing. The diffusers that doTERRA sells, there's ones that run for either 1 hour or 2 hours, up to 5 hours, continuous. But most of our diffusers have a on off, and they go 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, or a minute on or minute off. And so I do diffuse. I put it on for 10 hours and I just leave it there, but it's on and off, on and off. But you have to remember there's quite a bit of water in the diffuser. So at least, same amount that I'd have in my cup. You're again not putting tons of oils. In my diffuser, I might be putting 6 to 8 drops. And it's being dispersed in 250 square feet or 100 square feet. And so again, it's quite diluted, right? It's not like you're getting that whiff and you're sitting there whiffing it on, so strong for 5 hours straight. And so it's very safe to diffuse your essential oils for the lengths of times that the diffuser is set for sure.
Because I've noticed after like 30 minutes to an hour, I stop smelling it. Maybe I'm just used to the smell in the room.
Yeah, that's very common. They call it nose blind, right?
Mm.
So, like for example, today I was diffusing adaptive. I had quite a few appointments that I had to be, that could maybe get me a little excited. So I wanted to use something called adaptive. It's our mood blend. So it really just helps to focus and calm and balance. And so I put it into the diffuser and I don't even smell it. And my husband walked in and he goes, "What's that smell?" But I was in the room and I didn't smell it at all, right? And so yeah, when you leave the room and you come back in, you might smell it. But if you're in it, you won't even smell it. I'll go to the bank and people will be like, you smell nice. What are you wearing? And I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm wearing because I used essential oils in so many combinations, but I don't smell myself. Like I don't know that I smell, right? But the point to note though, they always say I smell good. They actually will ask me what I'm using, like almost like it's a perfume. And I'm like, yeah, it's not a perfume. It's
Mm.
wild orange and something else.
Okay. Speaking of as a perfume, I got those like perfume strips because I was thinking if people just want to smell the oil, would that work really well for people just if I put essential oil on those perfume strips and then they smell it that way as like a sample? Would it be on
Yeah.
paper?
Yeah, I think that would give you an idea of what it smells like, right? Because there's certain
Mm.
ones that don't smell good, and people
Yeah.
aren't going to want to, have that oil. Pretend possibly, although I go by function. So if it's supporting my body with the function specific, I go by that more than the smell, but I know that's not the case for everybody. But I
Mhm.
think that works. I often will send Christmas cards with like a little poem or something, and I'll spray the essential oil on the card. And when they arrive, they can smell it.
Hmm. Okay. All right. What else? I want to talk about so we talked about ingesting, we talked about diffusing, and we're going to topical use, like where certain what areas on the body do you usually apply the oils?
Yeah. So when it comes to topical, there's two ways that you can do it. You can apply it to the specific area that needs support. So if it's your face and you're trying to use it to help with the overall complexion, then you're going to apply it topically right to those areas. Um, my If you have like a rash or something and you're using it to help support the skin in its healing, then you can apply it directly to those areas. We do recommend that you dilute your essential oils when applying topically, that you dilute with what we call a carrier oil. That can be in form of a natural cream or any type of oil like coconut oil. For example, we sell coconut oil as one of our carriers. So we do recommend that when you're applying it topically. The other places that are popular to apply topically are what we call pulse points. So behind the ears, over the thyroid, um, the heart, and the wrists or the ankles are all pulse points. So those are going to be areas to apply topically. And then the third place that people apply topically, which I do and find it very effective, is I apply to my feet because we have reflexology points on the bottom of our feet. And so when you apply it to the bottom of your feet, you're going to be working with the idea of reflexology.
Okay, and I think I've also heard the belly button too, right?
That's one that I don't do. And
Mm.
I read it once and I don't know. I believe that our chief medical officer said that there was nothing to support using it on the belly button.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
it would be the same as putting it on your skin. There's no added benefit of putting it on your belly button. Although I know that was going around the internet for a while, but our chief medical officer, if I recall correctly, said that there was nothing to support that particular use of the oils on that spot.
Okay. All right, that's good to know. All right, so I want to get into books. So, what are some of the books that you use as reference, or you tell your customers or the people that you work with about the oils?
Okay, yeah, I should have that's in my other office. So I knew nothing about essential oils when I started in 2014. I literally I love learning, and so I just started using them and researching and learning about them. There's a book called Modern Essentials, and it goes through a new edition every year. Every time we have new oils, there's a new edition. So I have the original edition, I have my edition is like 5 years old, but I still use it all the time. It lists all the safety precautions. It lists how the oils can be used. It has two sections. The first section is about the oils, and then the second section, you can look up the things that the oils might be able to support, and you look that up in alphabetical order. So I call that my Bible.
Mm.
And then my second one that I love a book called, I think it's just called Emotional Therapy. I don't even know who the author is, to be honest. Um, and so I'm as part of my wellness um, lifestyle that I teach about, I'm very much into a mind body spirit approach. And so I love dealing with the emotions and how the emotions affect the physical and vice versa. And so there's this book about emotions, and it tells you the emotional meaning of every essential oil.
Hmm.
So I always will refer to both. I will look up what they want me to use physically, but then I will look up the emotional meaning of that oil. So let's say it told me that I needed Zengest, Then I would go to the emotional book and I would look up emotion and I would see what emotion Zen Just is dealing with. And I will use that to help me with some of my other healing modalities that I use in addition to essential oils. But I could do it vice versa. If I'm feeling a certain way, so let's say I know that I'm feeling um, overwhelmed, then I'll go and look up in the emotion book overwhelmed and I'll see what oils it recommends. And then I will use one of those oils to facilitate that feeling to calm me down.
Oh wow, I haven't heard of that one yet. I definitely have to look that up. That's really interesting. Yeah, I definitely would like to know more
I'll
about
take
it.
a picture and send it to you, Pan. I love both books. Like I really do use both books
Mhm.
interchangeably. They serve slightly different purposes, but when you combine them together, you have a very powerful healing modality, especially if you're into the mind, body, spirit approach to health and wellness.
Definitely. So besides using the oils, what other things do you do in your practice? Because I know you mentioned meditation. Like, what type of meditation do you do, and what else do you do to support your holistic lifestyle?
Oh, I do quite a few things. But I do meditate every day. I've been meditating for 15 years. I'm inclined to do more active meditation versus passive. So what I mean by that is I do body scans. So I check in, kind of like almost like a Reiki kind of. It's similar to a Reiki, but I do a body scan. So I'll check in with my energy every single morning and I look into how it feels, if it feels stuck or blocked, and then I connect to myself that way. And then often I'll just doze off into a passive, more Zen state. But I usually will do a active meditation. Um, I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of journaling. I exercise, so I do like cardio and strengthening, but I also do yoga. So I do yoga for stretching and for relaxation. I've done Pilates as my form of exercise. I love to walk. I walk every day as well. Well, not every day when it's this weather, but almost every day I walk if I can get outdoors for that. Try to eat healthy, and I just use my essential oils definitely for everything and my supplements. I do a lot of mindset work. I work with the subconscious mind and really want to understand beliefs and how to reprogram and work with those. So, yeah. I used to use crystals. I don't use crystals as much. I still have crystals in different spots. But I have to be honest, I did crystals for at least 5 years before meeting in doTERRA. And I kind of moved away from the crystals and find that I can get that energy from my essential oils.
Hmm. Okay, because I was thinking, I've I'm trying to see if I can. You know how they have those bottles with already little tiny chips of crystals inside those bottles already
Yeah.
for their essential oils. And so I was wondering if I can actually mix those two. And they have also had bottles with crystals inside. And of course, if you put water in there, you get the energy from the crystals. And if you do a couple of essential oil drops in there, if it will enhance the effect.
Yeah, I have seen those. I personally have a couple of crystals that are by my bed that I'll put a couple drops of essential oils on as well. But if you understand crystals and you can feel the energy of crystals, then when you work with essential oils, you can do the same thing. So I personally become very intuitive with my choice of oils as well. So the more I would just sort of, just kind of look at my box and just know which oil I would need. And then when I go look it up and what it does physically or emotionally, always blown away by how appropriate it is for the moment. So if you're someone who likes energy work or things like that, you can play with the whole energy of oils because every plant has a different vibration,
Right.
right? And so
Yeah.
if you need to be more grounded, you can really feel the energy of the grounding oils like vetiver or cedarwood, right? If you need to be uplifted, you can absolutely feel the vibration of a citrus. It vibrates very differently than a vetiver, right? And a
Right.
floral is going to vibrate very differently than those. So I love playing with the vibration of my essential oils.
Hmm.
That's
That's
something.
awesome. I don't know why I never really like thought of it that way. I mean, of course, everything's made of energy, but now I gotta tune into that and check that out. That's very interesting
Because
too.
it's the essence of the plant that's in here, right?
Yeah.
In the oil is the concentrated aromatic byproduct of the plant that's put into here. And with doTERRA, there's nothing else added. This is purely the energy of your plant. doTERRA means
Mhm.
gift of the earth. So they've taken the essence of the plant and put it in a concentrated form. It absolutely has a vibration and an energy. Not that doTERRA talks about this, but those of us that are more in tune to energy, then we have taken this to the next level, right? Um,
Mhm.
Although I have to say, I have heard different people at higher levels in doTERRA reference it, and you kind of have to read between the lines. They don't come right out and say it. But I would met Emily Wright as our chief executive officer. Like, she's the owner of doTERRA. It's the only female, and I had the pleasure of actually meeting her in person, where I got to sit one-on-one with her and talk for 15 to 20 minutes. She's an amazing, amazing, beautiful woman.
Mhm.
Um, and I had heard her talk about tea tree once, and how she uses tea tree here as sort of like a boundary, something to do with boundaries. And so I was really intrigued. So when I had her privately, I asked her, and she didn't really say what I'm saying about the oils energetically, but I was left to believe that on some level, um, there is that understanding that this is also something energetic that these oils are doing with us.
Very interesting.
Yeah. She didn't
Huh.
say that, but I was reading between the lines, and I got the impression that there is that sort of sense that these oils energetically are working with us, as well as on a scientific, biological, chemical level as well, which they can study. But this other part, they would never be able to study it, right?
Hmm. Okay. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I definitely have to tap into that more. And speaking of the energy of the doTERRA oils, I don't know if you've experimented it with other brand oils and see if there's like a difference in the energy uh, with it.
Yeah, so when was approached in 2014, I ended up going into my cabinet, and I did have three essential oils that I had purchased years before. It was a frankincense, an oil, an orange, and a lemon.
Mm.
And so for fun, I just opened them, and I tested the oils, and there was a distinct different smell to the oils, and a
Mm.
different feeling of pure. It's kind of like when you put something pure on versus, like, when you have vanilla extract versus vanilla bean,
Oh yeah.
that difference, I could feel that difference. And so
Mhm.
then from time to time, because people are doubtful, right, and they have to be convinced, people would bring me other oils and say, well, this is the oil I use. Or I'd go and do a consult, and they would open up their cabinet, and they would show me their oils. And I've never smelt another oil as pure as doTERRA. It's
Mm.
lighter, fresher. There's just something that's different about it. And I would say 90% of the people that I've worked with who have used other oils will say, yeah, there's a difference.
Mm.
Distinctly,
Mhm.
I can smell the difference. It just smells different. It smells, and the scent is longer lasting. I was at a class with a lady who was using another brand, and she attended our class, and she was really, grateful for all of the information, but she didn't want to purchase because she already had a bunch of oils at home. But during the class, this is when we were allowed to get in person with people, she put peppermint on her hands and then smelt it, and then just put it on the back of her neck. She said hours later, when she got home, she could still smell and feel the peppermint. Whereas with her own brand, she's never had that experience. So she called
Mm.
me up the next day and shared that with me, and actually made the decision to purchase the doTERRA because she was so convinced. So I love hearing stories like that where people share that with me, because at the end of the day, I sell the oils. So people are going to, often wonder if I'm just saying something, right? But when they try it for themselves, the oils sell themselves. I don't have to do the selling. I can get someone to start using these oils and they have the experiences that they have. Um, like, I can't make that up, right? That's just the experience that they have. And I have, I think I'm just under 2,000 customers right now that I've had
Mhm.
the benefit and the experience of having that with them, where they have been the ones to be able to tell me that these are the experiences that they're having.
That's awesome. Speaking of trying the oils and experimenting with them, for those that are listening and are interested in trying the oils, if you haven't tried before, just reach out to the person that mentioned this podcast to you, this episode, and reach out to them, and then hopefully they'll give you some samples to try. And so that's what I wanted to mention.
Yeah. Or if that person doesn't know it, then definitely reach out to Pan, right? Like, you're someone who can certainly put them in the right direction as well.
Right. I'll list all my links in the description, but of course, the person that introduced you to it, and reach out to them first and see what they can do first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you mentioned excuse me, you mentioned yoga. You do yoga. You've experiment with the yoga collection, because there's like 3 bottles for that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So I was at the convention when Elena Bauer is the one who worked with doTERRA to be able to give us this yoga, 3 yoga essential oils. And it was such a beautiful experience to witness her and understand her rationale for putting them together. And then they had yoga there for us that we got to use the oils. And so when I came home, I purchased the kit with the 3. You can buy them separately now, or you can buy them in a nice little box with the kit. So basically, if you think of your yoga practice in 3 sections, we have an oil for each section of your yoga practice. So when you first get into your yoga practice, you need to get grounded and focused, right? You want to like kind of leave all your chores out there and sort of get into that. So we have an anchor, right? We have the blend called Anchor, and it's very much for that purpose. Then we have the names are slightly different in Canada and USA, so I get mixed up a little bit. But we also have one that's going to help you to arise, so help you to open up, and it's called Arise. And then we have one that helps you with aligning. So I personally use Align for the end of my practice when I'm going to be meditating at the end. And I use Arise when I start to do my poses. So when I start my sun salutations or whatever. So ground myself at the beginning, Arise for the actual movement part of it, and then Align when I want to get into the meditation part. You could switch those. I know some people have switched them. And then in the background, I love to diffuse frankincense, and you can add a drop of orange, and that's really going to help to just open up that spiritual aspect, right? Frankincense is such a powerful spiritual oil, right? It's been known in history for, they brought it to the Christ child, right? So it has a lot of spiritual connection to it because so many religions use frankincense. So I love to use frankincense in the diffuser during the practice as well.
Okay. Because I think it's also common to use grapefruit as one of the choices during meditation. Because I remember when I was in class, my teacher, when we were in Shavasana, the teacher will put some grapefruit on us, essential oil on us.
Okay. Yeah, I always associate the citrus for more cleansing and uplifting.
Hmm.
And I associate woodsy oils for grounding and balancing focus. And then the florals for like comforting and consoling and calming. So depending on what you need, that's how I sort of use the oils. But everyone has their own, you know, understanding of why they use the oils and the preferences, right? Because you're certainly drawn to certain oils.
Right. 'Cause you said we all know that the smell of the essential oil, whatever you use, is gonna last a little bit. So during your practice, let's just say your yoga class is 30 minutes, and then at the beginning, for example, the first 10 minutes you will use the anchor, and then the rise, and then I can't even think of the other one, and then the basically the three different ones during your practice, beginning, middle, and end. And what if the smell still lingers from the first one into then you add on to the second one, and the third one? Would it be too much at the end of the practice, or how does that work?
No, again, if I'm doing this just by myself,
Mm.
it's not going to be a problem. If you're teaching a class and you have a whole group of people, you're going to have to be sensitive to other people's. You don't want the room to start getting so overpowerful, right? So you have to play with that if you're doing it in a class form where you have like 10 or 15 people. But generally speaking, no, because we call it layering. So when you're applying oils topically, it's very common to layer them. So you apply one, you give it some time to do its thing, then you apply another, give it some time. So this would just be an extended form of layering your oils, and they
Mm.
actually work very effectively in that regard. But the thing about essential oils that I really love is if I were to break it down to, if I was, if I could show you the scientific way that a oil looks, if you go to your science, those diagrams with the lines with the H's, O's, and C's, the
Oh, yeah.
countdown, there you can see that for every essential oil. Every essential oil breaks down to a bunch of H's, hydrogen, O's, oxygen, and C's, carbon. Well, H's and O's is what makes up water. We are more than 50% water, and as we age, our water content diminishes, and that's one of the things we need to stay healthy. So the beautiful thing about essential oils is what you're giving your body is, in essence, these H's and O's. If I break it down to the most basic science that you could possibly imagine, you're giving your body a bunch of H's and O's, and your body knows what to do with it. If it doesn't need it, it'll excrete it. And if it needs it, it will use it to attach so that you don't have free radicals. And that's really how these are working in the most basic way that I could possibly explain it, right? So you still have to be sensible, and you have to, use them as they are recommended, but that's how they're being used. So it's not a concern to have one oil, then another oil, and another oil. Your body's going to know what to do with it and how to use it.
That makes sense. Your body adapts to it. And speaking of your body knowing what it needs, I've heard about this. I don't remember the name of it, but there's like this little device that you can test on yourself to see which kind of oils your body needs.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's one called the Itovi, I think it's called the Itovi scanner.
Oh yeah.
In the past, when I first started doTERRA, I did rent one and I was using it. It was kind of neat. It would give you a list of 5 or 6 oils that, you put it on your hand. I think you held it in your hand, and it picked up the resistance. It has to do with resistance and the amount of resistance in your skin, and it had some kind of algorithm that it would tell you what oils you could use. I did use it. It was kind of a novelty. It was kind of neat. I don't use it anymore. I just go with tuning into my body, paying attention to what symptoms I'm having, looking up what oils can support those. And that's how it's been working for me for the last 4 years. And that's how I continue to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a reliable way to do it, just based on your intuition and what your body needs. Yeah. Okay. I think those are the questions that I have. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that I haven't asked?
No, I think just I think for people to, I do think that this is important to understand because a lot of people are okay with the oils, but when it comes to doTERRA and being a multi-level marketing, then
Mm.
kind of like, oh, I don't want to. So the thing you do need to know is that if you want to just be a customer, if you want to just buy essential oils, you do not have to be a part of the business. Okay. If you only want to buy oils occasionally, there's a way to do that. If you want to create the lifestyle, then ordering oils on a regular basis makes sense. And then they give you more discounts, right? So I get thousands of dollars of oils for free every year because I order on a monthly basis, right? But that's an option. You don't have to do it that way. Highly advise it if you're adapting to this lifestyle, but it's not absolute, nor is the business. So although the business is an amazing opportunity, it is not that as soon as you become a customer, you have to get into the business.
Mm.
85% of our customers are strictly customers. About 65% are loyalty customers. They do it every month, but the other percentage are just buying here and there whenever they want. And only 15% are actually in it for the business. So I think sometimes when people hear that it's multi-level marketing, they think that they have to give us their child and that
Mhm.
it's like this commitment and it doesn't have to be. And of course it can be, but it's totally up to you. And so I say I meet people that just want to live the lifestyle and they want to be customers. I have people who want to share and maybe get a little bit of residual income to maybe help support the lifestyle or pay a couple extra bills. And then people like myself who build the business, where this has become my business. Like, this is what my income stream is. I closed my clinic. I no longer have a physiotherapy clinic or wellness clinic. And I do this, right? So I just think that it's important for people to recognize that there's lots of options.
Yeah,
Most
thank
important,
you.
I just want them to know about the oils because it really empowers you as a mother. It empowers you as a individual to be able to have tools at your hand that are effective, affordable, and safe. And I just want the world to know about that.
It's like if you need backup, like an emergency toolkit or anything like that, or a medicine, thing to depend on, everything's right there, and you don't have to deal with the side effects, everything.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's changed my life, and because that is the case, you just want to share it with me. That's what you do when something's affected you in a positive way. You want to tell other people about it, and so that's what I do. And sometimes I get paid to do it, and sometimes I don't. Right? But every time it feels just as good because I know that someone's getting the information that could make a difference. Right? Could make
Right.
a difference in their life.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And how do people reach you if they want to get in contact with you, like your website, social media?
Yeah, so I have a website. It's either my name, leannegiavedoni.com, which might be hard to spell, or my business name is unleashedessentials.com. Both go to the same spot. On social media, I have a Facebook page, and I have an Instagram page, but I'm just getting into the habit of posting on those things. So I'm working on that. It's my New Year's resolution, but my website's probably the easiest way to get in contact with me or learn more about some of the things that I do.
Okay, great. And I'll post those links in the description. And again, if just reach out to us if you have any questions, and also reach out to the person that introduced you to this episode or the podcast. And so that's it. Thank you so much for doing this for us. And I've learned a few things. Every time I do these interviews, I'm always learning a few new things.
Yeah, thank you. No, it was so much fun. I had so much fun doing this. You did a great job, Pam. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. This is awesome. I might have to break this into like a part one and part two so that it won't be, just figure it out. Probably do that.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Thanks.
Mhm.
Right.